On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we are talking about the big news that the Chargers won't be playing some of their stars, including Justin Herbert. Does that put even more pressure on this game? And what is at stake for this game? I think the stakes are extremely high for the Broncos to win this. We're going to have our guy, Brian Baldinger, join us to break it down. Big show starts now. Jim Harbaugh for benching Justin Herbert for this game against the Broncos. We're going to break down everything about this game from Jim Harbaugh benching Justin Herbert and some other starters potentially to just what's at stake for the Broncos this week. And we're going to get our final picks and talk to Brian Baldinger. Huge show live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And we are presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Place a $5 bet after depositing $10, and you get $150 in bonus bets when you use that code DNVR365. We are the DNVR Broncos Podcast. Henry Chisholm is back. We got Dion behind the camera, and yours truly, Zach Stevens, rocking and rolling with you today. Henry, welcome back.
Well, thank you. I haven't done the math, but it feels like I haven't done a podcast in like a year.
Yeah, well.
That would have been really cool to say if I come back after New Year's. Now I think.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll have time to make those jokes.
We will
in next year.
We'll say next year we'll make all these jokes.
Because crazy enough, this is our last show of the 2025 calendar year, not the last show of the 2025 Broncos season. In fact, the 2025 Broncos season might extend all the way into February. In fact, Henry, especially with the latest news that Jim Harbaugh gave us yesterday, the Broncos likely favored to be playing in February now. Which
they're the favorites in the AFC.
That is so freaking odd. What are the odds right now, if you haven't pulled up?
Plus 270 maybe, I think was the last I saw, to make the Super Bowl.
If you don't mind pulling it up, just to see like how that stacks up
plus 700
to
win.
I'm curious about AFC though. Yeah,
so plus 270, and then I'm pretty sure verification code.
Patriots like Bills?
I think Patriots at like plus 300.
And probably
and then
Bills.
I think that's where there's a gap.
Oh, let's go. So it's Broncos, Bills, or Broncos, Patriots, and if the Patriots have to come in to the Mile High City, Henry, I heard about a month ago-ish, there was some New England, Boston radio people talking about just like the playoff picture and where it sits, and they said the only game we do not want, because this was when they had already beaten the Bills and were 1-0 against the Bills before losing to them. They said the only game we don't want in the playoffs is to have to go into Denver. They said we can play Denver at home. We can play the Bills at home. We can play anyone at home. In fact, we can go to any place. We just can't go to Denver. And that's why what Jim Harbaugh is doing we'll break it down in just a second, is so big for the Broncos because no one wants to come in here into Denver and play.
Well, and while we're on the Patriots topic, there's more news. There's the Justin Herbert stuff, but there's also the Stephon Diggs stuff.
There's a couple of Diggs stuff today.
A lot of Diggs news. The more relevant Diggs news to the Broncos. Probably the more relevant news to the. You would think the more relevant news.
It's fair to put that asterisk by it.
Right. There's Stephon Diggs, star receiver, number one receiver for the Patriots. He has been, it's not accused, it has been charged. Charged is the word, with felony strangulation and misdemeanor assault, which means odds are we're not going to be seeing much of him down the stretch. Again, like, unless there's some really quickly the case gets dropped, whatever it may be. But the Patriots were the second best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden their best offensive weapon, depends on what you think of Travion Henderson, he's gone.
Best receiver.
Certainly best receiver by a mile. Like nobody else has 600 receiving yards.
Is he gone though? I think the most recent update I saw is just that the NFL released a statement, the Patriots released a statement. I don't know if they've
it's not official.
To me, I mean, I agree with you though. Like I don't know how he plays, but from just what I've seen, I don't know how he plays with this, but because the NFL doesn't want. Remember, were you watching it? I think it was a Thursday night game
with Tyreek Hill on the sideline, and Tyreek Hill scored a touchdown. I think it was Al Michaels who was just like, and you'll remember that, no, they went to the sideline report, I think. And the sideline report would give the whole breakdown of all of Tyreek Hill's past crimes. NFL doesn't want that. And so I think as this goes, like, they don't want that storyline hanging over the Super Bowl. And if you play, assuming everything goes the way we expect it to go, you don't see the Patriots until January 24th or 25th. And so there's 3 weeks for the NFL to make some sort of decision.
Wouldn't it be, to be the AFC Championship game?
Yep.
Yeah, so,
Which is, my birthday's the 24th.
Is that a Saturday?
It is.
Then it'd be Sunday, because I think both championship games are Sunday.
That sounds right.
So then, you get to enjoy an off day.
I would like to
before
enjoy
the Broncos host an AFC Championship game.
I would love an AFC Championship game on my birthday.
Whew, yeah.
Either way,
isn't
it'll be a good
Championship weekend just Sunday though? They do like the
I think that must be right.
4:30 or something like that.
That must be right.
Well, hopefully we're talking about that in just 3 weeks. Your birthday's coming up,
right?
And the AFC Championship game coming up.
Lexi asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't really want to do anything, but I'm turning 30, so I probably shouldn't. She's like, you're turning 29. It's like, oh, that's great news. It turns out I'm not that old.
Wow. At least that's why you keep her around,
right?
I mean, for many more reasons too, but
right. I did the math and she was right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So you were born in 97.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I feel like I know your birthday better than
you. Now you do.
Wow.
Now it's going to really sink in too.
Okay. So Henry, let's talk about the Stefon Diggs news is news potential to the Broncos, but let's talk about the news that is very pertinent to the Broncos this week. Yesterday, Jim Harbaugh announced that Justin Herbert is not going to play this week against the Broncos, as well as any other star that's kind of bumped, bruised, needs to be healed. So let's take a look at the common spirit injury report. Typically, we only look at the Broncos side of things, but this is the biggest injury news right now. Like, we kind of
biggest
know
injury news in the NFL.
Yes.
Affects the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Affects wild card seeding, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it affects everything.
What about Lamar Jackson? If he comes back in the game that could decide, I guess that one would be bigger.
That would be bigger for two. I mean, obviously way bigger for the Steelers, way bigger for the Ravens. But this Justin Herbert, doesn't it impact all 7 playoff teams?
It does.
Because the first 3 it impacts 6 of the 7, because it does not impact the Ravens or the Steelers. So 6 of the 7 it impacts. So you're right. This is the biggest injury news. So shout out to our Common Spirit injury report. And of course, you can go and find help anywhere by going to mountain.commonspirit.org. Experience the difference compassion makes. Find a Common Spirit location near you. Common Spirit Health, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos. So, I mean, it's the biggest injury news in the NFL in terms of just impacting so many teams. And this is just the only star that we know that isn't going to play. The Chargers are a team with a lot of stars and then kind of just like maybe lacking other places, but this might impact Derwin James. This might impact Khalil Mack. This might impact Keenan Allen. This might impact, you might want to keep your only running back that's good on the roster. You might want to keep Omari Hampton out. This could impact a lot of guys potentially not playing against the Broncos.
Right. And I haven't crunched the numbers on how many guys they could sit. So you have your 53-man roster. You get to call up 2 more from the practice squad. So 55. So you get to pick 46 to play. So you wind up 9 guys are inactive.
Yep.
You assume 3 guys are actually hurt on average. And so you get 6 guys you get to say you don't actually get a uniform. And then you can pick 4 more guys maybe and say, we need to dress you, but you're not going to play. Instead, like, our number 5 receiver is going to be out there, and he's also going to be out there for special teams doing all this sort of stuff. It's going to be a heavy workload because we're resting some guys.
Right.
But, like, for you, Quentin Johnston, maybe, we need to dress you just in case, but we aren't going to play you unless we have to.
Yep, exactly.
So it really could be like 10 guys potentially that they sit down.
Oh, my goodness. Do it, Harbaugh. I mean, if you are...
It makes sense.
If you're resting your quarterback, there's no reason not to just... he specifically said, like, guys that are banged up or need to heal. I guess you could say, like, a guy's just at 90%, so he needs to heal. You're resting Justin Herbert. You are throwing the white flag on this game. It kind of surprises me because they could, in a way, get to kind of help choose where they want to play in the next round. And in fact, Henry, What surprises me the most about this is it's very likely, because of who the Chiefs or because of who the Patriots and Jags are playing, that if the Chargers beat the Broncos, that the Chargers would be coming into Denver the very next week. And I'm kind of surprised that the Chargers wouldn't want that. Of course, the big caveat, they would have to beat the Broncos at full strength. I don't think that would happen. But if they did, they would be 4-0 against Sean Payton and Bo Nix Broncos. I'm surprised that they wouldn't want another crack at that to go 5-0 right there. And I love it because not only does this avoid that, but what it does is it just gives the Broncos the 1 seed. The line...
You hope.
No, this is a guaranteed win. No. This is a guaranteed win.
Boy.
Again, you don't have to be worried about guaranteed. Henry, they're playing Trey Lance. What's the line? So it was at about 7. So actually, a week ago from now, it was at like 3.5. The Broncos are favored by 3.5. That's when they thought, like, okay, Chargers are for sure going to play their starters. Then, after this past weekend, Vegas kind of got a feeling that Jim Harbaugh was going to rest his starters, so they kind of hedged and put it to 7 points. The Broncos are 7-point favorites. And now it's at 11.5, 12.
It is. Oh, wow. They don't even put it on the main page. Because they assume nobody wants to bet on it.
Because they know it is a guarantee, right, Henry?
Right. And now 12.5.
12.5. Okay, right
but,
there.
I mean, what was the Chiefs line?
13.5.
Right.
So I'm not guaranteeing a cover.
Right.
I'm guaranteeing a Broncos win.
With the difference there being the Chiefs only didn't have their quarterback. I mean, they had a couple other injuries as well. Right. Rashee Rice got hurt. They had some guys that got hurt. This could be a game where you're actually playing the B team versus last week where it's like, there's some spots where you're playing like the B option, but that's because of actual injuries. You still have Travis Kelce. You still have Chris Jones.
It'll be like last year's Chiefs game where they did rest, 8 starters or something against the Broncos, like and the Broncos not only won, but they won 38-0. That's the type of game that we could be looking at right now. Okay, let's continue to look at the ramifications of this game and talk about what Trey Lance is and if there's any reason to be scared of him. And that conversation is coming up next.
Factor is the place to go. Eating this time of year can be difficult. You know, luckily for me, I've got the Invisalign, so I can't just eat everything I see. But when you're around family and there's just like, oh, there's a plate of cookies and there's a plate of chips and there whatever's going on, they really struggle. Meanwhile, for me, I'm not allowed to eat unless I brush my teeth after, which, you know, makes it a little bit tougher than it is for most people. But if you are one of the people who maybe hasn't been eating the healthiest during the holidays, Factor is an incredible option because at Factor, you can go get meal kits that require no prep, no cooking. They just give you chef-prepped, dietitian-approved meals that you plug into the oven or into the microwave, and you can have them in 2 minutes. They've got a bunch of variety, a bunch of different meals, whether you're on GLP-1s or you want more protein, whether you want low calories, whatever it may be. Eat smart at factormeals.com/DNVR50 off. Use code DNVR50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. It's code DNVR50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. This exclusive holiday offer won't last. Lock in your savings before the New Year rush. Only valid for new customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Place a $5 bet after depositing $10, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets after using that code DNVR365. And now is the time to use that code DNVR365 to get those bonus bets, because starting on Wednesday at 10 a.m., we've got ranked bowl games to take us pretty much all the way to NFL football on Saturday. It's going to be an incredible time, and it's an incredible time to get in over on Bet365. Tomorrow morning, we got Iowa, Vanderbilt. That's 23 versus 14. And then, of course, tomorrow afternoon, we've got Miami, Ohio State, the first college football playoff game. And then all day Thursday to start the new year, we've got college football playoffs. And, of course, Broncos are big-time favorites over at Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And, of course, you must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, once help, college text 100-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. You just heard of them right there. And if you want to get on the Broncos game, minus 12.5 right now, you can either be scared off by that line because of what happened last week, and I understand, or you can be like, only 12.5 because of what the Broncos did in a similar situation last year when the Chiefs, or when the Chargers are doing the same thing that the Chiefs did. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But when I saw that Herbert wasn't playing, because, I mean, Bo was the one to admit it after the Chiefs win. What he said, I still have not beat the Chargers yet. And so, I'm going to prepare to beat them and do everything I can to beat them. I thought the Broncos were going to win, but it was like 60-40, 65-35%. Yeah. I did think that this was the time that the Broncos were going to get over the top of the Chargers, but like the Chargers are good. Not great, but good. And Herbert's playing pretty good ball right now. But now it's, I mean, I guaranteed it. So it's 100%
you did guarantee it.
to 0 that the Broncos are going to win this game. And so the attention turns to like, okay, who's their backup? Trey Lance is their backup. It's no longer Easton Stick. It's Trey Lance. And Henry, when I say you got to play Trey Lance, what do you think? Who is he?
So I got to start with, I was not a Trey Lance believer when he was drafted.
Yeah.
I was against him at the time. So Montana fan, as you can see, watch a lot of North Dakota State at the time. Just didn't really seem like an NFL quarterback. Very good athlete, ran the ball really well. I think the incredible season he had was threw 28 touchdowns, never threw an interception his entire collegiate career until the COVID season. So FCS didn't play the COVID year. But North Dakota State scheduled a game against Central Arkansas just to be like, it's kind of just a showcase for guys. He threw a pick in that one random 2020 game that was in his draft year.
You never want to play Arkansas State.
Right. I wonder if I got that right. So at the time, just super raw, all those sorts of things. Were you watching, what game did he get into? It was the game Herbert broke his hand and Trey Lance came in for the third down right after. It was a 3rd and long, didn't work out. He led a pretty nice drive after that, and one of us may have bet on Trey Lance to score the next touchdown. It's like, this is going to be a rushing touchdown. Gets him down to the red zone, and then Herbert comes back in and closes the drive out.
Dang.
But I've thought in the couple of times, I guess the preseason this year, he was awesome. And then I think, was that the only drive he had this season? Let me see. He's 7 of 13. So maybe there were 2 drives. But yeah, I'm at the point where I personally am buying Trey Lance stock. Of course, this is like a very clear step down in this week against Justin Herbert. Here's one more cool Trey Lance stat.
Yeah.
Just because there are a lot of cool ones because he's just hardly ever thrown a football. So since he graduated high school, so let's see, that was 2017 was his last year in high school. He's thrown 474 passes in competitive games. Bo Nix has thrown 589 passes this season.
That's crazy.
Right. And the problem for Trey Lance is just, to me, inexperience. I think he has all the tools. I think he makes good plays. I think he's smart. He just needs the experience to be able to play that. But I don't know what his path to experience is at this point, even though he is still younger than Bo Nix. There's another fun fact.
That is crazy. And Henry, I don't think you're wrong for buying Trey Lance stock right now because it's as low as it's ever been potentially, and a former top 5 overall pick. You buy the lowest stock ever. Not bad, especially, but keep that long term. Don't sell it after this week because it's going to be even lower after this week. So what I did, you looked at a very small sample size that's closer to now. I looked at a bigger sample size. I went back to the season after he got hurt. So he was supposed to be the 49ers starter, played in a couple of games, then got hurt. And so I looked at, okay, what's his career been like since he's recovered from that injury and is kind of this new Trey Lance, moved on, bounced around to a couple of teams. He's played in 9 games, 3 starts, 55% completion, 550 total passing yards, 124 rushing yards, which is significant for 3 starts, 1 fumble, 0 touchdowns on the ground, 0 touchdowns through the air, 2 interceptions, 8 sacks, 61 passer rating, 37 QBR. Not very good. And I think that's the type of quarterback that the Broncos are going to make him look like. Now, I'm not saying, 3 interceptions and 10 sacks for him, and the Broncos set the sack record. But he's not going to have success against this Broncos team. One thing that this does change, though, Sean Payton talked about it yesterday. Sean Payton was asked about the lack of sacks for Nick Bonito in the past couple of weeks, and Sean shut it down right away. Sean said, I'm not worried about the sack number. Sacks can be deceiving, and with the quarterbacks we've played, we've had to contain these guys and not necessarily rush to get the sacks, but just rush to keep them in the pocket. That's going to be the same case with Trey Lance here. I mean, he's averaging 40 rushing yards per start since 2022. That's what the Broncos are going to do. So unfortunately, they're 9 sacks away from tying the all-time sack record. They're not going to get that this week because they might get 4 or 5 sacks. But this is going to be just don't let Trey Lance run for 100 yards on the ground. You got to keep him in the pocket. You got to contain him. So I think that's the biggest thing going up against Trey. Is just don't let him beat you with his legs, and the Broncos have been good at that.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just the receivers. Like if you wind up playing, like not playing Keenan Allen, not playing Quentin Johnston, then I feel really good about this. But I think, like he's a pretty perfect backup for Justin Herbert. They're built the same. They play the same. Again, Herbert has just made so many plays that you trust the consistency there. Whereas, Trey Lance, you just have hardly even seen him, which is just crazy to say. Again, the idea that you could play, like Bo Nix has thrown 120 more passes this year. He's thrown far more passes this year since the win streak started than Trey Lance has thrown in the past 7 years. It's tough to say exactly what you're going to get. All I know is Trey Lance made me a lot of money in the preseason because he did not belong playing against those second and third stringers. And he should have made me money if they hadn't put Justin Herbert back in because he was leading another just really nice drive. We'll see.
And so Henry,
he's not Chris Oladokin. I feel good about that.
Yeah, that's fair. So let's turn to just what this game means, how much it means. And before this news came out, Henry, it was possible that the Broncos could be the 1 seed or fall all the way to the 3 seed, which of course means you're still hosting at least one playoff game. Yep. But you don't get the bye, you don't get an extra week of rest, and at some point you're very likely going to have to go on the road. And it could have also been the 2nd seed because Jacksonville and New England are there. Both of those teams could jump the Broncos, but that would involve the Broncos losing. If the Broncos win, it doesn't matter what these other teams do. They will get the 1 seed. That's why, man, I'm confident that the Broncos have locked up the 1 seed. Because of Justin Herbert not playing. I mean, we talked to Alex Singleton 2 hours before the news broke, and Alex Singleton called Trey Lance or called Justin Herbert one of the best players in the world at any position. And now they don't have that sort of guy. So realistically, Broncos are going to be the 1 seed here, which is just so cool and crazy. And yesterday we talked to Sean before we found out the Herbert news, and Sean actually talked about what it means having the 1 seed. And this might have actually been my question, so I'll just let it dial it up. Coach, first off, congratulations on winning the division, but you mentioned you have your eyes set on the next goal of getting the best seed possible. How important is it?
The second one.
Yes, the second one. How important is it to get that home field advantage and potential number 1 seed?
Well, just historically speaking, it's extremely important. Every study would show you, and there's a number of reasons for that. These games are 3 hours long. The first reason would be you skip a game in which you're at risk to not play well, or an opponent all of a sudden have a great game. You skip the threat of potentially losing a game, if that makes any sense. And so you skip right to the next round, and then that be able to play in front of our fans with the crowd noise, the atmosphere. I don't know. It's been a while since they've hosted a playoff game. Certainly it's a fan base that deserves that opportunity, and I get excited for them, and I get excited for our team. So, man, all of it's important, and having been through this, like 9-10 other times, you've seen it all, and you recognize how important it is. The challenge of winning playoff games on the road, and how much more difficult that is as opposed to trying to win them at home.
And so, Henry, how big do you think it is for the Broncos to accomplish their second goal, as Sean Payton made it very clear, of getting the best seed possible, which would be the 1 seed now?
I mean, it's everything. That's like I said on the post game show, which might have been the last time I was on. I'm not really sure. I said if the Broncos beat the Chargers, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, or at least make the Super Bowl. If the Broncos lose to the Chargers, I don't think they have a chance. Like that kind of just comes down to that.
And Henry, really quick, let me piggyback off of that, because I think with Herbert not playing, the stakes of what you just said are even like higher with that. Now, not the winning part, because it should be easier to win, but like you can't lose this game. If you lose this game and you lose the first round bye, you immediately have to turn around and play a game after like an embarrassing, humiliating loss. That would be it'd be disaster heading into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And I mean, the numbers, like over all of NFL history, it's like 52% of number 1 seeds make the Super Bowl. Since 1990, it's like 50%. I think in the new playoff format, 6 of the 12. So again, 50% again. When you're the number 1 seed, it's just 50-50. You're getting there.
And there's 6 other teams, so you get a 50-50.
No, and then the flip side, like a wild card team, they popped up the graphic on one of the games this weekend. But they had 3% for a wild card team to make the Super Bowl, because those teams just don't make it. Like if you're going on the road, you're not winning 3 road games against good teams.
Right.
You're just not. So that's why playing at home is so important. I know Benny says, they would have been fine without the number 1 seed. Personally, I don't think so. I think if they were playing at Pittsburgh and at New England, I don't think they win both of those. But maybe I'm just the hater.
I know there's some people and clearly not everyone, because Benny and I believe him that he believes he would have won that. There's some people that were in the building at that time that thought like, no, we didn't have a chance going into New England.
No. But when
I guess
they're
not
coming
having
here,
a chance, but
it's a different game.
Yeah, and
you get to dictate.
We've heard what the crowd is like in playoff games 10 years ago, but also what semi-playoff games this year. And so this is such a big game that Sean later in that press conference called it a playoff type game. And because that's what it is. Like you win, you are riding as high as you ever possibly could be. You get a week to focus on yourself, then you get a weekend off, then you get extra prepped, and you're like going to be as healthy as you possibly can be heading into a playoff game where another team's going to be coming off a tough game.
The Broncos played Pittsburgh and New England, right? Those are the two? Okay.
Yeah. Daniel Sepp.
Daniel. A fellow Grizz. Never mind. I take it back.
Henry's talking about 2015, in case you were thinking maybe he's talking about this year. But yeah, the Broncos played an Antonio Brownless Pittsburgh Steelers team at home. And then, of course, Tom Brady, which was that was so electric.
Like, especially for some teams more than others. Like, the Broncos are young and spry, but spending all that time on a plane and getting ready to go and doing all those sorts of things, it just changes the game versus you wake up and you go play the football game.
Yeah, and
like it's the ability to, I don't know, that just taxes the body so much.
100%. And Henry, I was actually a little surprised of how much importance Sean put on getting the number 1 seed, because in the past, like we've seen, he likes taking the team on road trips and having the team together for an entire week and being on the road with them. He's done that in his years here with the team. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was like, you know what, we could win on the road. You know, good teams win on the road, good teams win at home. Instead, he kind of did the opposite. He put all the importance on playing at home, and that just tells me how much that truly, truly does mean. Let's ask these questions to our guy, Brian Baldinger, and that's coming up next.
And Credit Union is the place to go if you're opening a new banking account, or, you know, if you just want to pick up a better offer than you can currently get at your current account. And Credit Union is the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos, and that means that you can sign up for their Broncos checking account. They've got all sorts of different perks, including discounts on game days and Empower Field, chance to win Broncos tickets, exclusive merch, and you can just get $200. It's that easy. You sign up, they give you $200, they drop it right in your account. All it takes is a couple of easy requirements that you meet. Also, they get the really cool new debit card. So this is the Pat Surtain throwback card. You can see it right below this as well. But you got Bo Nix, you've got some Broncos logo cards. Ent Credit Union is the place to go. So with the playoff push heating up, now's the time to lock it down. The perks, the card, the $200. If you're ready to bank like a Bronco, head over to ent.com/DNVR to learn more. Insured by NCUA, membership required, account requires associated Ent Broncos debit card. Requires a $100 deposit and activation of debit card within 30 days of account opening.
And shout out to our friends over at Coors Light. You're going to want to ring in the new year with a beverage or two. You're going to want to turn to our friends over at Coors Light, because there's no better way to celebrate the new year than cracking open a crisp, chilled Coors Light. Whether you're going to be watching football all day New Year's Eve, all day New Year's, or this weekend, Coors Light is the beer to turn for when you want to chill. It's been a busy holiday season, and Coors Light is all about chilling. So if you need to chill after a lot of family time, after a lot of go, Coors Light is the beer to turn to. Or if you want to chill with those family and the go, Coors Light is the one to choose. Grab every opportunity to choose chill. Reach for a Coors Light. And of course, you can get delivered Coors Light straight to your door by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. That's CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Beer. And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. And shout out to everyone that's tuning in with us. We really appreciate you taking some of your holiday week time to be with us. I mentioned it earlier, but this will be our last show. So we're actually going to do picks in the fourth segment after we talk to Brian Baldinger. We're going to give our picks because we're not really taking time off. I guess the company's taking some time off. Henry and I are going to be down at Broncos practice tomorrow, Thursday, Friday as they prepare for this big game, which kind of feels like it lost some wind in its sails. Like, it doesn't feel as big, even though it is as big. Did you feel the same way?
I did.
Like when it's Broncos going,
there was a moment
when it's starters going up against backups, it just loses it a bit.
Right. I don't even know that it loses it. It's just a different feeling.
Yeah.
Like to me, before we had the news, I was like, okay, here we go. Like you said, like this feels like a playoff game. Essentially, you got to get 3 wins in the next 4 weeks to get to the Super Bowl. This could be one of them. Be a great way to start. The energy has changed, but there's still a lot of energy there. To me, it's more just nervous. This is a don't blow it game. And how many times do we have to say the Broncos play their competition? It's over and over and over and over. And part of that is intentional. Part of that is just the really conservative game plan you throw out there against the Chiefs in a game where I think if you had taken a couple shots downfield, you might have been able to blow that game open. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, the Chiefs offense did absolutely nothing. Like, it felt like they did something because they had the short fields, but 139 yards of offense is nothing. I think you take a couple deep shots, it opens it up. But yeah, I think that it could be one of those where Sean just says, we're not going to blow this game, and it's going to be conservative, and next thing we know, it's a 7-point game in the fourth quarter again. Well,
let's ask our guy, Brian Baldinger. We got the legend joining us. Baldy, what's going on?
Happy New Year, guys. You know, it's this is it, man. We're at the finish line. So let's figure out these playoff seedings and who's playing who, and let's get ready for some January football.
And Baldy, I absolutely love it. Playoff football for the Broncos. If they win this week, they're the number 1 seed in the AFC. And so my question, I want to look at this game. We got the news that Justin Herbert will not play, along with some other starters that are banged up for the Chargers. Is this the right move for the Chargers to do? Because they still could be playing for a little bit of playoff positioning.
I would rather be healthy as can be, than to risk any further injuries. Obviously, the hand this year and the tackle situation, the running back situation, it's been bad. I'd rather be healthy and rested than, if you got to go on the road, you got to go on the road. I wouldn't worry about who I play. I would try to be as healthy and rested as possible. I think it's the right move for Jim right here, honestly, because whether they get to their 12th win or not, it's really not going to make that big of a difference. And so I don't think this is a bad move by him.
I agree, especially when you go on the road. When you know that you're going to be on flights and do all that stuff, resting up makes sense. But it does change how this game is going to look. And I'm curious, how do you feel about this matchup? Is it just the Broncos are playing backups and so they should be just fine and there's nothing to worry about?
Well, the Chiefs were playing just backups, and it was at least at the quarterback position. Defensively they played great, but they really challenged him, and I thought the Broncos. I mean, I don't know what was wrong with Cortland Sutton, but he didn't look like he could catch. They dropped a lot of passes. I'm not putting it all on the receivers, but they had opportunities to score a lot more points. And uncharacteristically, I thought they dropped some passes. They weren't very aggressive with the ball down the field, which is a little bit unusual, but they've played that style before. You got a new center in there and Forsyth, and he hadn't played. And so, I think you're trying to protect yourself a little bit against guys like Chris Jones, and you're just making sure that he doesn't ruin your offense the way he does a lot of teams in this league. So I think there were some of those factors that were involved right there.
Baldy, you mentioned Forsyth playing in place of Luke Wattenberg. Wattenberg is now on the IR, so it's going to be Forsyth going into the playoffs to an extent for the Broncos. How do you think he did in his first start, and how is that offensive line looking right now for the Broncos?
Well, I mean, Palcho and Powers, we'll see how the left tackle things, shakes out. But obviously Quinn's been awesome. But, Forsyth doesn't have what Wattenberg has. I don't think he's as powerful. I don't think he stays, but it looks like he can do all the mental gymnastics up front, getting guys hat on a hat, getting the protections right. They do some things with their center protections other teams don't do. They pull their center out of the hole to protect certain edges, against pass rushers that most teams don't do, but they ask their center to do it. I thought he handled himself pretty well there, to be honest with you. I mean, they didn't run for a lot of yards, but that's a good front with big linebackers. But I thought they ran effectively, when they had to.
I'm curious. I saw you did the breakdown on DJ Jones. And that's a guy who we don't talk about too much just because, he's a run stuffer. But you talk to Zach Allen, and what he'll say is the reason we get all the sacks is because we're in 3rd and 9s because of DJ. Yeah. What do you think of DJ?
I love him. I loved him in San Francisco. I mean, I think he's just an underrated guy. I mean, because he's not really a pass rusher. He comes off the field. They have their interior pass rushers. But, when you're going up against Creed Humphrey, I mean, the guy's a Pro Bowl, not just a Pro Bowl center. I mean, I think Creed's the best center in football. And so, you can handle Creed Humphrey on the edges the way he did in the interior running game. I mean, just that matchup alone, I had to go watch it. And then Trey Smith is back. I don't know how many Pro Bowls Trey Smith has been to. He's been to a bunch, and he's healthy. And I thought he handled both those guys. Like, he wins with leverage. He's got long arms too. He gets guys off his body, and they don't budge him. And he's excellent at shedding blockers. I thought handling the interior of the running game of the Chiefs. I mean, they might have popped 2 runs the whole day. I thought he handled everything. And basically, it's like, okay, if I got a baton in my hand and it's 1st and 10, and the Chiefs want to run the ball up the middle, and I do my job in a 2nd and 9, I'm handing the baton off, to one of the other, Malcolm Roach or Zach or somebody else to come rush the passer. So he's done his job, and he did it well on Sunday.
I love that, and I love that we're giving credit to guys that don't get it that often. Baldy, how important is it for the Broncos or any team, but specifically this Broncos team, to get the number 1 seed? We heard from Sean earlier. He said historically it's extremely important, but there's also some other people that might think like rest. There could be too much thing as so much rest and too much rest. Do you buy into that side? Do you think getting the number 1 seed is that important?
I mean, I live in Philly here. They've won 2 Super Bowls, and they've had the number 1 seed in both cases, and they got the rest. I was with some of the players yesterday, and it's. I understand too much time off. I've seen Andy Reid in Philadelphia, the number 1 seed, and he had 3 weeks. He took everybody off the final week, and then they had a bye week, 3 weeks before they played a game, and I didn't think too much rest was a problem. I think it's really important to have home field and a week's rest. I mean, it's set up to win it. It's set up to go to San Francisco and represent the AFC. Now, Detroit was number 1 seed last year. They had home field throughout. That Washington came in there and put up 45 points on them. It doesn't guarantee anything, but I'd take the week's rest in the home field in Denver. Who knows what the conditions are going to be like that time of the year. But I like my chances with Denver if they can secure that this weekend.
So then, Baldy, to follow up with that, who, let's say the Broncos do get the number 1 seed and the playoffs do run through Denver, who, in your mind, would be the toughest opponent in the AFC that would stand in the way of the Broncos and get into the Super Bowl?
Well, Jacksonville just went in there, 2 weeks ago and waxed it pretty good. So, I mean, Jacksonville probably doesn't have any fear if they got to travel and go do that. I think the Houston Texans defense is going to travel well no matter where they go. They just gave Justin Herbert fits the other day. We all watched it. I think that defense can travel. And right now, Houston, if they score 20 points or more, I mean, they're 15-1 this year if they could do that. So they're on an 8-game win streak. I think they feel pretty good about themselves. I don't think the atmosphere or anything that C.J. Stroud sees in Denver is going to be too big for him.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was just looking through some numbers this morning. Bo Nix has thrown the most passes in the NFL this year. And when you think about Bo Nix, that isn't really what you think of, right? Like, it feels like he's not the high volume quarterback. Is that interesting to you at all? That I guess he's tied with Dak Prescott for the most total passes thrown in the NFL this year.
What surprised me, I mean, it's almost 600 passes, I think. But, what surprised me, I guess, in that situation, I think a lot of the quick game that they play are passes, but they're kind of an extension of the run game. They don't have a big, powerful runner. Once J.K. went down, they don't really have that guy that, I mean, Jalil's been good and Harvey's coming on and all that, but they're not big power backs. And so I don't think it's the strength. I think they're playing to their strengths. I mean, Bo has got themselves, a lot of scrambles for first downs on passing situations. But I think what surprises me is that it would seem that they've been playing with the lead for many of these games for much of the season. And normally when you do that, it normally means you're running the ball a lot more and you're taking the air out of the ball. But that's evidently not the case right now. And I might be completely off base just thinking on my feet here and making that comment. But, I mean, Sean does favor the passing game. But I just think a lot of the quick game that they do, a lot of the quick screens and things they get the ball to Marvin Mims or, to Troy Franklin, I think in some ways it's a little bit like a run because the ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage for the most part.
Yeah, there are a lot of passes like that. Baldy, speaking of Bo, do you think he has what it takes right now in finishing his second season to make a Super Bowl run, or do you think he's still a year or two away?
No, I mean, look, you look at these teams that have won Super Bowls. Now, take Brady out of the situation and, some of this, and Mahomes out of the situation. Mahomes won his on a young contract. Russell Wilson won his Super Bowl on his rookie contract. Joe Flacco won his on his rookie contract. Now he was 5 years in, but some of these guys have won, early in their careers. Brady won early in his career. So I don't think that just because you're in your second year, that you can't win the Super Bowl. Just because, I mean, he started every game now for 2 years. He's got over 30 games of experience. He's been to the postseason. He did play poorly in Buffalo last year. So I think he's got enough to go make a run. He's got the pieces around him. He's got the coach. He's got the defense. He's got, star power in a lot of key places right here. I don't see why in a thing that looks like it's wide open right now, I don't see why Bo Nix can't be a guy that can bring home the trophy right now.
What is the weakness for the Broncos at this point? If you're game planning against them, what are you trying to target?
Well, while they have a lot of sacks, they don't have a lot of takeaways. That's been an issue all year. They don't take the ball away a lot. They don't cause a lot of fumbles. They don't recover fumbles. They don't take the ball away in the air. So, they're not taking possessions away. So I think that's one. I think, offensively, like a lot of teams, like if you're not getting explosive plays, you're not scoring a lot of points. Like we saw San Francisco and Chicago back and forth. They both had a ton of explosive plays. If you're not getting 20-plus plays and chunks like that, you're not scoring a lot of points in this league. It's too hard. The penalties back you up. Field position backs you up. Things happen. So, can they get explosive plays? And I think that's the question mark right now. Pat Bryant was out last week. Who's the guy that's going to go do that? Is Sutton the one guy that can get down the field for those type of plays? I know Troy Franklin's capable of doing it too. But it seems like that's been a weakness to this team is just being explosive in the passing game. And forget about explosive in the run game. They don't have Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey or some of these guys that can go get those chunk plays for you out of the run game.
Well, Baldy, final one for you because I loved what you pointed out that the Broncos need to improve in takeaways. Sean Payton pointed to that yesterday. He said that's the one thing that they're really focused on is getting more takeaways and improving that turnover battle. But they've been saying it all year. at this point, is there anything they can do to turn their takeaways battle better?
Well, it's interesting. You know, Sean Payton, when they won the Super Bowl in New Orleans, he led the league. Coach Williams, they led the league in takeaways that year. And they got a lot of extra at-bats back to the offense and Drew Brees. You never stop working on it. Like, I don't really see guys there trying to punch the ball out. Just the old peanut punch, you know, Peanut Tillman. I don't see guys punching the ball. You know, I see a lot of other teams in this league, and I haven't been to the Broncos practices, so I don't know, but I've been to other teams' practices, and I see teams working on it every day. And I'm sure Vance is doing it. I'm sure he's emphasizing. I'm sure he's showing it. But I don't see them consciously trying to punch the ball out. And then, you know, a lot of interceptions come off tip balls. And just when Seattle won their Super Bowl, I think they led the league in takeaways. They led the league in defense that year. And they got a lot of tip ball interceptions. And so you never stop working on it. They could come in bunches. And so I would continue to do it. But you saw Atlanta last night with 3 interceptions, and they were all great plays. Great plays by the 2 safeties, Xavier Watts and Jesse Bates. And, you know, you got to have some instincts to get takeaways too. And, you know, maybe we need to see a little bit more of that. The one guy that was able to get the ball out in a lot of key spots was Jaquan McMillan, and I haven't seen that from him much this year.
Yeah, very good point. Oh, really quick, Ball, you just got to get your national perspective on these 3 key games this weekend. Who's going to win between the Bucks, Panthers, the Seahawks, 49ers, and that night game with the Steelers and Ravens?
I like the Ravens right now without DK Metcalf and Darnell Washington in Pittsburgh. I mean, they couldn't score a touchdown last week. They went to, you know, Marquez Valdez-Scantling 3 times in a row to try and score a touchdown at the end. He was awful, and there was all kinds of miscommunication. I think it's a Derrick Henry game. Like, I think you just, you know, crank him up 30, 35 times like they did in Green Bay, and I think they can bring home that. I think just watching Carolina last week, they're not impressive offensively, but, you know, Tampa is really not impressive in any phase of the game right now. But I would say Tampa, you know, because they're at home, I'd give that one to Tampa. And then San Francisco and Seattle. Seattle's defense is really good, but I don't know that anybody's playing better offense than the 49ers right now. I'll take the 49ers at home.
I love it, Baldy. You're the best. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to talking to you during a Broncos bye week next week.
Okay. All right. Number 1 seed then. Let's make that happen, and I'll tell you what the bye week is all about, because I don't want those guys to go to Cabo for a vacation during the bye week. All right.
Good. I'm looking forward to talking to you about a bye week next week. Thanks, Baldy. Man, incredible stuff from Baldy. Let's talk about the games this weekend, including the Broncos game. Let's give our picks, and I want to know, what do you think of that Steelers-Ravens game? Who do you think is going to win, and who should the Broncos have big rooting interest in that game? That's coming up next.
Taco Bell is a place to go. They've got a whole bunch of really cool things going on, including the quesarito. Quesarito has been everywhere the past couple weeks since they brought it back because it's one of their very best foods. Essentially, it's a burrito, but instead of a tortilla, it's a quesadilla. It's a quesarito. It's perfect. It was actually on the TV during the broadcast of the NBA draft when Nikola Jokic was drafted, which has kind of tied the two together for a long time. He still hasn't tried the quesarito, of course. We're hoping that he does try the quesarito. But even if he doesn't, you know, you can try it by going to your Taco Bell, ordering a quesarito. And they've got all sorts of other great options as well. The tacos, the burritos, the cinnamon twists. A lot of people like the cinnamon twists. And while the Buffs boxes have sold out, they are bringing them back next year, and they want to know which players you want on the cups for the 2026 season. So Liv Moss at Taco Bell.
Taco Tuesday here at DNVR. It's my favorite time of the week because we actually get to enjoy some incredible Taco Bell, and we've got kind of a mystery menu today.
Yeah, we're just
going to dig in.
Kind of guessing here.
Test my Taco Bell knowledge. This one tastes like the quesarito. I'm definitely getting quesarito vibes from it. You can't go wrong with Taco Bell. That's the cool thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what you get, whether it's quesadillas, quesarita,
then your
burritos.
chicken cantina stuff.
Incredible. So we're going to chow out on this for a little bit. Go to your nearest Taco Bell. I'm talking with my mouth full here. Go to your nearest Taco Bell. Enjoy everything from the Taco Bell menu.
Liv Moss.
Liv Moss.
We're living Moss, and man, that Taco Bell looks so delicious. So is the number 1 seed. It's delicious. Yeah. Absolutely delicious. And Henry, we officially found out Broncos are playing at 225. That's going to be just a normal game for the Broncos. I think if the Chargers would have won on Sunday and this game were for the number 1 seed for the Broncos and the division for both teams and home field advantage potentially, it would have been a Saturday game or that
Sunday night. Because you don't want to decide, like you want the Jags and Patriots to feel like they're still playing for the number 1 seed when they go.
That's true.
But that's why, like, when it's Steelers, Ravens, and they don't really affect anything else, throw them on Saturday, and it's just a big game.
And then just bump the Bucks and Panthers to Sunday because no one really cares about those teams.
Right.
Because Seahawks 49ers would probably still be a primetime game. You would imagine that Pittsburgh, it's Panthers Bucks getting kicked out.
Yep. They'd put them at the 225 on Sunday.
Yep, 100%. And then you'd move, you're right. You'd move that division 1 to the Bucks or the Steelers, Ravens to Saturday, and Broncos. Man, that would have been electric, but we shouldn't have as much of a heart attack this week because of what the Chargers are doing and because they lost that game. I saw the Twitter chat when Baldy was on. They were saying just how scared they are of the Texans defense. And I mean, it's a fantastic defense. There's 2 defenses, I think in NFL history, at least in the past 25 years, that have allowed under 200 passing yards per game and under 100 rushing yards per game.
Okay.
Since 2000 or NFL history. Whatever it is impressive. One of them is the 2025 Texans. You know who the other one is?
Broncos?
What year?
2015?
2025.
Oh, there we go.
That's kind of crazy.
Yep.
Like 2 historically good defenses this year. But what makes me, because I'm a little afraid of the Texans because of how good their defense is. But Henry, man, you brought up that stat of wildcard teams get 3% shot at making the Super Bowl. That makes me less worried about them. Yeah, because they'd have to go on the road at least once, if not twice, before playing the Broncos, depending on how things shake out.
Definitely. Yeah, it certainly helps. It's a bridge that you cross when you get there. And by the time you get to the end of the playoffs, it's all good teams.
Right.
You know, if it's the Patriots just seem to find a way to score 40 every week. And that's a tough team to go up against. If it's the Texans, then obviously Texans deep, like they all have their things that they're good at. We'll see what happens.
If it were to end right now or just stay the way it is right now, you'd get Patriots and Texans in New England in the first round. That would be a hell of a matchup.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a great game, but also just like you mentioned it, the Patriots score 40 points seemingly every game.
Yep.
And the Texans, if they score 20, they win. They'd be 15-1.
I think in that case, I might take the Texans. Not straight up, probably.
Defense wins,
but at least I'd take the Texans to dictate the style. Like when you just look at those edge rushers they have, they're unstoppable. There's nothing that you can do when they have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson.
Yeah.
Like it's just unbelievable. And I don't care who the quarterback is. Like you gotta get that ball out quick. It means it has to be long drives. So at the very least, the clock is running. At the very least, it's like a low possession game. And that's low possession games are how you see things like the Broncos and the Chiefs last week. So I think the Texans would really dictate it. I'm not sure if they actually could win it, but they could make it a competitive game. Yeah, they would make it a competitive game.
Yeah, they would. And if they won, they're coming to Denver the next week, and it'd be Broncos Texans for the Broncos' first playoff game since 2020 or since 2015 in Denver. Okay, let's get to our picks for this weekend. And before we get to our picks, I want to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Jaden Ieni. Appreciate you rocking and rolling with us. You are. We really appreciate it. And shout out to everyone that's tuning in with us. Hit us with a thumbs up. We really, really appreciate it and like it. All right, Henry, let's dive into our picks this weekend. Broncos, Chargers. Right now, we know Herbert isn't playing and potentially other starters. We're not picking against the spread, but you can keep in back of your head that spread's 12.5.
Okay, so I'll go 27-13.
27.
The total is like 39.5 also, now that I think about it.
Wow, so is
that right?
You're rocking and rolling with Vegas here.
I think I might.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Do we have Ryan's picks yet? We don't? Okay, so still waiting on those. I'm going to go... boy, last week I was really confident the Broncos are going to blow out the Chiefs. I'll go Oh, we just got it. What is it? Dion's going to reveal it live on the show. 24. Is that it? Just 24-0?
Yeah.
Oh, 24-10. Okay. So 14-point win for Henry, 14-point win for Ryan. I'm going to go 30-6 Broncos. I'm going to say they do blow them out. And let us know in the Twitter chat what your picks are. We got Ivan saying 28-10. We got some other scores in here. And if you're watching later, drop your prediction below so that if you're right, we can look back at that and give you credit for it. All right, let's look around the rest of the AFC West. Although these games, or the other game, I guess, does not matter. You got the Chiefs playing the Raiders. Oh my God, what an awful, awful, awful game.
Right.
Just to watch.
That one's the Chiefs.
Yeah, I guess I'm going Chiefs, understanding that it is a third string quarterback playing for them. The Raiders are that bad. 2-15. I think Ian Rappaport said yesterday he'd be shocked or something along those lines if Pete Carroll was back. What a disaster.
I would be too.
What a disaster that has become in Las Vegas. They just can't get out of their own way, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so those are our AFC West picks. But, Henry, let's just say, just in case, Broncos control their own destiny. If they win, doesn't matter what anyone else does. Let's say things get a little messy in Denver this weekend. You're going to want the Patriots and the Jags to lose. And if that happens, then the Broncos wrap up the number 1 seed, regardless of if they win or not. But not good news about the Patriots and Jags. The Patriots this week, they are playing the Miami Dolphins. That's not a gimme. It's not an automatic win.
It isn't. And it's, you hope for good weather because you know the Dolphins aren't doing anything without the good weather. I didn't watch much of their game against the Bucs, but I heard people say Quinn Ewers was doing some exciting things.
That shocks me.
The Dolphins are capable of scoring, at least they have been in the past. And it's my guy Devon Achane.
Yeah,
that's the best running back in the NFL. I think I might take him over anybody. That's
not the king, man.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
What would you have said last week?
The king.
Still? Okay.
Guy's got 16 rushing touchdowns and 1,500 rushing yards.
It's true.
Christian McCaffrey would be one thrown up there. Although PFF says Christian McCaffrey is the 18th best running back in the NFL.
I guess, and Derrick Henry has been heating up. I didn't realize he was 216 this week, 128 before that, 100 before that.
He's had to carry that team.
Yeah, which is why they haven't been that good.
Wow. Well, how are the Dolphins?
Same thing. At least Achane, man, that guy's unbelievable.
What are his stats this year?
1350 rushing, 48 receiving.
Yeah, really good. Really good. So I'm going to be pulling for your guy Achane there.
7.3 per reception. Leads the NFL with 5.7 per carry, though.
That is very, very impressive.
In that offense.
Yeah. And New England is a 10.5-point favorite, so I don't think anyone's counting on the Dolphins to pull that upset, but they are 1-0 in the Quinn Ewers era. And then the other game, you've got the Jags needed to lose, and the Jags are playing the Titans. Probably not going to happen. 12.5-point favorite for the Jags. So Broncos just win. Just win. And you've got the number 1 seed. Really quick, just another game that could impact the Broncos later. Do you want the Ravens or the Steelers this weekend? Winners in the playoffs.
You want the Steelers, especially because Lamar's going to be back here pretty soon. I'm not sure when exactly.
Yeah, I don't think they've announced if it's this week or not.
Right.
But I agree.
Status is TBD for this week.
I agree. You want the Steelers. The Steelers scare me 0%. The Ravens do scare me a little bit. Not as much as they did, because they are a very flawed team. But the Steelers don't scare me at all.
Ravens defense has troubles. Pass game hasn't really worked. The run game isn't what it has been, although it is still good. And trending upward, importantly.
Yeah.
Steelers defense is one of the 3 best in the NFL. Especially trying to run against them and they get the pass rush, just the well-roundedness. The only thing is, I don't know, when they get DK back, they are they have something on offense. But without DK, they have literally nothing. There's, like Baldy said, they couldn't score a touchdown. He would erase him, but at least you're forced to deploy him somewhere.
Yeah.
And so they can
fair.
have a fighting chance somewhere else. So yeah, I think the gap might be kind of narrow, but you do want to play the Steelers. Unfortunately, like Baldy said, without DK this week, I don't know how they win this game.
Yep. And so I do think we both think it's going to be Baltimore. We got some super chats to round us out, and let's do that in overtime. Go to thednvr.com to finish the conversation online. All right, let's hit these super chats. First one coming in from our friend T Fishes, who says, Jim Harbaugh said Justin Herbert is out and his starters will be backups outside of those who had bruises. Don't sleep on Trey Lance. Also, if Houston loses early game, Chargers can take the 5th seed with a win. The only thing with that, T Fishes, is if you're not playing Herbert, you're not trying for that 5th seed. Like, if they were concerned about that or thought that that was a possibility, then Herbert would be playing in this game. So they're not playing for anything. That doesn't mean they're not going to try, but
I think they'd be happy to win.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, they aren't trying to win because they would be playing Herbert if they were trying to win. But I agree with you.
They don't care that much, is what I would say. But they do, like, when they line up there, they're going to, the guys who are out there and the coaches are going to give it their all. Because, again, like, even if it's just in the world in which Houston makes a run.
Yeah.
And if you're the Chargers, you say, oh, that's a possibility. Bills can make a run. That's a possibility. And if that's the case, we'd like to be at home when we have to play them. Like, it's not a huge deal. Odds are slim, but they certainly do want to win. They just aren't willing to take those risks to make it happen.
Right. Neem Dog says, super chat courtesy of McKinnon getting 2 points last night and Bijan winning me fantasy. Shout out DNVR. If it weren't for you guys, I'd go crazy listening to Patriots fans all day. Go Broncos. Go Avs. Shout out to you, Neem Dog. Congratulations on your wins.
Was the empty netter the second point?
Ooh.
It was. Got the point on the empty netter. That feels good.
I love that. I love that. And Neem Dog also says, shout out Zach, asking Sean questions seems scary. Can be at times. No doubt about that.
He probably
Thank
wouldn't
you,
hurt
Dog.
anybody.
DS Borg says, will the Broncos go for the sack record against the Hot Dogs?
They can go for it.
Why are they Hot Dogs?
The Hot
Chargers,
dogs,
hot dog.
dogs.
Los Angeles, hot
Their
dogs.
logo doesn't really look like a hot dog.
Why are they hot dogs? I don't know, but I don't think Trey Lance is he? No, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the Broncos are going to get the sack record for what we talked about earlier. Just Trey Lance is a runner. They're going to want to keep him contained. And when you play contain ball on a quarterback, you don't full out, all out rush him. Because if you do, you get behind him, and then that leaves big room for him to run down the field. And that's the only thing that really scares me about Trey Lance. So, and the Broncos aren't going to let that happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos get 1 sack just like they did last week. I also wouldn't be surprised if they get 4 or 5. But in order to get to that record, they'd have to get 9 sacks this week. I believe 9 or 10. 9, I think.
I think it's 9.
They did do that earlier this year against the mobile quarterback, Justin Fields. So it's not impossible, but we'll be keeping track of that throughout the week. I believe that's going to do it. You got anything else?
No. In the chat, in 1966, Broncos versus Chargers, some fan changed the name of the Chargers to the Hot Dogs.
Just for that game?
I'm hoping we hear more.
Is this Wikipedia? You got to let us know. Drop the comment below so we can do our research and know what these hot dogs are, because I'd love to call the Chargers the hot dogs.
Sure.
Little wieners moving forward. All right, that's going to do it for us today and this week. But we're not done, of course. We're going to be back for the pregame show. We're going to be rocking and rolling with you all day Sunday. Pregame show is going to be live right around 1:40, 1:50. Going to be rocking with you on a watch along throughout the entire day, and then postgame celebrating the Broncos getting that 1 seed. But before we get out of here,
this is 1969. They changed the Chargers to hot dogs on the scoreboard.
as like a troll.
Yeah, Broncos won 13-0.
Was it in Denver?
Yeah, it must have been.
Wow, the hot dogs.
Yep, 13-0.
What a pull by Neem
Fan
Dog.
snuck in there to change it himself.
That is amazing.
Wow.
Let's change them to the hot dogs again.
Wow, this looks like the Charger fans were really fussy.
Let's make them look like hot dogs this weekend.
Yep.
Broncos, just flatten them, roll them.
13-0 again?
13-0. Just cover the spread.
You give me a win, I take it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's
That's
all
it.
we're looking for. Just get that 1 seed. As Sean said, it doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing. You just got to get the dub. That's what the Broncos are going to do on Sunday. So we will see you on Sunday. Happy New Year to everyone. Be safe. Enjoy a couple of days off and celebrate with friends. We appreciate all of you rocking and rolling with us. Hit us with a thumbs up on your way out, and we will see you in the new year.
We all silly like the mayor.